We first see a young man named Ron in a police lockup, surrounded by other inmates. The police found illegal drugs on Ron, leading to his arrest and appearance before a judge. The judge sentenced Ron to 6 months in jail for his crime. Upon arriving at the jail, Ron observed numerous gangs, with Afro-Americans, Mexicans, and whites forming their own separate groups. After some inquiry, an inmate advised him to meet Earl, suggesting he could help. Earl was a very powerful inmate in this jail. Every gang respected him immensely. He had been imprisoned for 18 years for murder. Ron wanted to ask for his advice regarding his case, but Earl left saying, "I'm busy right now, let's talk later." Afterward, Earl and his friends planned to rob another inmate because he possessed something they desired. When the inmate refused to cooperate, they beat him and snatched the item. As soon as a guard noticed them, they quickly vanished as if nothing had happened. Having been in this jail for 18 years, Earl knew all the guards well and was even good friends with the captain. He would type jail reports and other small notices for the captain. A transgender inmate was placed in Ron's cell who warned him, "If you're fair-skinned, stay away from the guys, you understand? They'll chew you up raw. This jail is full of fierce predators." That same evening, Earl's friend Vito saw Ron talking to an inmate named Psycho Mike. Vito knew what kind of person Psycho Mike was and informed Earl that Ron was about to be attacked. Meanwhile, Ron's transgender cellmate also urged Ron to quickly arrange for a sharp knife to protect himself. The next day, Ron asked Earl in the gym how and where he could get a sharp, knife-like weapon. He also told Earl about the Psycho Mike incident. Earl advised, "Look, you're only here for a few months. If you get into fights, your sentence could increase, understand?" Afterward, he went with his friends to meet Mike. He told Mike that the new guy, Ron, was his relative, and if anything happened to him, he would retaliate. Earl knew people from every gang in the jail. Mike realized that making an enemy of the jail's godfather over a new guy could be costly, and he immediately backed down, agreeing to Earl's terms. Soon, Ron started hanging out with Earl's gang. One day, while 3 inmates from Earl's gang were secretly drinking their homemade liquor on the first floor of the jail, some guards got wind of it. But before the guards could reach the inmates, Ron warned them. However, they couldn't discard all the liquor, and the guards caught them along with Ron. As punishment, they were all confined to separate cells. Earl greatly appreciated Ron's actions, as he tried to save his friends without thinking of himself. To thank him, Earl sent Ron a pack of cigarettes and a note hidden in a magazine through another inmate. The note read, "When questioned, stick to your story that you did nothing." A week later, when jail officers interrogated Ron, he completely denied drinking with any group, stating, "I was just passing by. The guards caught me for no reason." After this investigation, an additional year was added to all the inmates' sentences, but Ron was spared. Additionally, while writing the inmates' reports in the captain's office, Earl wrote many positive things in Ron's report so that the judge would reduce his sentence during the next hearing due to his good behavior in jail. Afterward, Ron met Earl and thanked him. Suddenly, Ron witnessed a man being stabbed to death right before his eyes during the inmate's free time. He was terrified by this incident, and Earl also realized that Ron was an innocent boy who had no place in this jail. After this, he told Ron to meet the jail doctor. At Earl's insistence, the doctor fabricated a false report of a shoulder fracture for Ron and admitted him to the jail hospital. The hospital area was quite safe for Ron, but he couldn't stay there forever. One day, the captain came to visit Ron and told him that at Earl's request, he was shifting him to Earl's gang's cells. There, he would be safe with Earl and his gang. As soon as Ron came out of the hospital, he went to a common area to meet Earl. They were just chatting when the Afro-American gang suddenly refused to do any work in the jail and started a strike. When the situation escalated and a fight broke out among the inmates, the guards controlled the situation by sounding sirens and firing shots. All the inmates lay down on the ground. After subduing the inmates, the guards counted them and sent everyone back to their cells, revealing that 26 inmates had died in the incident. The jail was now completely under lockdown. Approximately 25 hours later, the captain went to Earl's room and told him to take charge of the kitchen work with some trusted companions so that at least food could be prepared for the jail guards and other inmates. Earl had the guard call Ron to the kitchen as well, where the captain, guards, and Earl were having dinner. Earl gave him freshly made hot food and explained that after such a riot, these kinds of protocols are followed to bring the inmates under control. Ron suddenly interrupted him and asked Earl why he was helping him so much. A month ago, he didn't even know him. Earl explained that when he came to this jail, he was about Ron's age. No one helped him then, and he still remembered how scared he was. Earl didn't want the same to happen to Ron. Time passed in this manner, and Ron grew quite close to Earl's gang. After thoroughly studying Ron's case, Earl advised him to take a course in jail and also work in the library. This would earn him good behavior points, and since he had already served 3 months in jail, the judge might even acquit him at the next hearing. Following Earl's advice, Ron started working as a barber in the jail, cutting inmates' hair, and also joined a course inside the jail. It seemed like everything was going very well, but this was the calm before the storm. During this course, a burly inmate in his class noticed Ron. Earl had told Ron to stay away from any trouble, so he decided to ignore this inmate named Johnson and focus on his studies. But then one day, Johnson caught Ron alone in the washroom and tried to take advantage of him. However, their teacher also entered the washroom during all this, causing the scoundrel to leave Ron alone. This incident deeply affected Ron's mind, and he now felt disgusted by his helplessness and weakness. He thought that if Earl and his friends weren't there, he wouldn't be able to protect himself from these predators for 2 days. Now, without telling Earl, he asked an old inmate in the jail to arrange for a large knife. Carrying it, he went straight to attack that inmate. But the old inmate told Earl that Ron had taken a knife from him today. Earl quickly went to Ron's room and explained, "Look, what happened to you was wrong, and the fire of revenge burning inside you is also right. But if you attack him and the guards find out, another case will be filed against you. Do you want to rot in jail forever?" He also promised Ron that he and his gang would definitely teach that inmate a lesson. But this time, Ron wanted to take his revenge himself. Without telling Earl, he took his knife and went to the man's cell. But Johnson wasn't afraid of Ron at all. Meanwhile, not finding Ron in his room, Earl also quickly arrived there and, seeing Johnson, attacked him. But Johnson was quite strong. He twisted Earl's arm and slammed him against the jail bars. At that moment, Ron took the opportunity from behind and stabbed Johnson in the back, after which Johnson fell to the ground, groaning in pain. By now, Earl's other companions, including Vito, had also arrived, and they quickly took Ron and Earl away from there. After sending Ron to his cell, Earl went to the captain's office and sat there as if nothing had happened. His plan might have worked, but unfortunately, Johnson survived despite being stabbed and gave Ron and Earl's names to the guards. As a result, both of them were put in solitary confinement for the attempted murder of an inmate. Now they would have to stay alone in a dark room until the hearing. But Earl wasn't one to sit idly by. He sent a message to his companions through the toilet seat's drain pipe to get rid of Johnson. Afterward, his gang had Johnson killed in the hospital so that he couldn't testify against Earl and Ron in court. After Johnson's death, the jail warden and some lawyers called Earl for a meeting and said, "You were fully involved in this attack. Confess to it." But Earl refused to admit anything because their only witness was now dead, and there was no evidence. After he left, the jail warden told his officers that this inmate had become too powerful in this jail. He was having people killed whenever and wherever he wanted. Ask the judge to increase his sentence and transfer him to another jail where he doesn't have so much influence. They also mentioned this incident in Ron's report. They also demanded that the judge increase his sentence because, according to the warden, Ron had also become a dangerous member of Earl's gang. Soon, Ron was taken for his next court hearing. The judge, based on the warden's recommendation, added another 5 years to his sentence. Upon hearing this sentence, Ron exploded and started cursing the judge and his lawyer. Afterward, the police officer took him back to the holding cell. There, Ron's father came to meet him and, seeing his son in such a state, emotionally said, "Son, don't worry. I will bring the most expensive lawyer, but I will not rest until I get you out of jail." That evening, the captain went to meet Earl in solitary confinement, bringing some cigarettes and bad news. The new jail warden and some officers had planned to transfer Earl from this jail. Because after so many years in jail, Earl's network had become very powerful in this jail, and he was now a huge threat to everyone. That's why the officers were deliberately trying to link the hospital murder to Earl, because that man was going to testify against him and Ron. Hearing this from the captain, Earl was stressed for the first time in his life because he didn't want to leave this jail under any circumstances. So he immediately started making a plan. First, he stopped eating the food the guards brought him. Then he pricked his hand with a small blade to draw some blood and smeared it on his body. Then he scattered the leftover stale food on the toilet seat. Seeing Earl in this condition, the guards now thought that perhaps Earl had lost his mental balance due to staying in solitary confinement for too long, and so he was immediately taken out of there and put in the mental ward. Upon getting out, Earl first met Ron, and when he found out that Ron was also going to be in jail for many years, he immediately decided to plan an escape from jail with Ron. For this, Ron first asked his father to arrange a safe hiding place for him and Earl after they escaped from jail. After that, Earl started keeping a close eye on everything happening in the jail so that he could find an escape route from jail where there was no possibility of being caught. During this time, one day they were discussing their plan while bathing when a mentally ill inmate came there and started singing loudly. When Earl tried to stop him, the man suddenly attacked Earl and Ron with a weapon made from a toothbrush. In this attack, Earl was injured in the chest and Ron on the face, and so both of them were sent to the jail hospital. This attack was carried out by an Afro-American inmate, so now all the white inmates wanted revenge at any cost, and a very serious atmosphere was created all around the jail. But then one day, a leader of the Afro-American gang went straight to the hospital to meet Earl. He told Earl that the man who attacked him was mentally unwell, and he did this only because of his madness. And now he wanted Earl to tell the white gang members not to incite riots unnecessarily, because the inmates would only suffer losses. Everyone in the Afro-American gang also greatly respected Earl, and that leader assured Earl that, quote, "We are ready to punish that man ourselves." Earl also didn't want to fight to break out in jail unnecessarily, so he told all his companions not to take any action. After this, a dangerous man from the Afro-American gang killed the attacker and threw him in the jail's garbage truck so that his body would be crushed in the garbage truck and taken out of the jail. But as soon as Earl found out about this, a plan to escape from jail immediately began to run in his mind. After that, he told Ron that the garbage truck comes and goes in the jail every day, but it is never checked inside because the drivers always crush the garbage inside. And because of this fear, no one has ever tried to get inside it until today. But if they managed to hide inside without being crushed, then their freedom was waiting for them with open arms. This work was very dangerous, and so Earl asked his oldest companions for help, and after hearing the whole plan, they bribed the garbage truck employees and convinced them to do this work. Meanwhile, the inmates working in the kitchen arranged for 2 large iron rods for them, which they thought were strong enough to stop the crusher because they had to stop the crusher with their help after getting inside the truck, otherwise their bones would be crushed. After completing all the preparations, Earl and Ron were now ready to escape from jail. One night before, Earl sat down with all his close companions for the last time and said goodbye to all of them because the next morning, after 18 years, he was going to escape from here. Well, the next morning, as soon as Ron and Earl came out of their rooms, they secretly entered the kitchen, where some inmates helped them hide from the guards. Due to this, they reached the garbage truck with the garbage bags and those iron rods, where Ron jumped straight into the truck, avoiding the guards' notice. But as soon as it was Earl's turn, a guard suddenly arrived there. Due to this, Earl could not jump into the truck even if he wanted to. Now the guard had also closed the door, and then stood there talking to the truck driver. At the same time, Ron, who was inside the truck, saved his life by jamming the iron rod between the crusher. After some time, the truck left the kitchen area and reached the gate. During the routine checking, no guard noticed Ron inside. They just checked under the truck as usual and sent it from there. At this moment, Earl was praying with all his heart that this truck would succeed in getting out of the gate because he was genuinely very happy for Ron, and finally, their plan succeeded, but without him. After this, Earl went to meet Vito, and when he told Vito about his failure, Vito said, "Brother, what will you do after going out of jail anyway? Everyone knows that the jailer is just a name. You are the king who runs this jail, and if you leave, where will the fun be in this jail, my friend?" Hearing Vito's words, Earl also smiled faintly. So in your opinion, was Earl's failure to escape from jail a bad thing or a good thing? What do you think? Do let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.